Hey, so I just asked my mom the following questions from Activity 4 on a phone call a little bit ago, and I recorded what she said in some notes on my computer here, so I'm basically just gonna summarize what the notes say from this computer to you on here. The first thing she said that her and my dad were just trying to make sure we had all the nutrients we needed as kids. When we were really young, that we would pretty much eat anything. But she said when we got a little older, like we were still kids, but when we got a little older, our taste buds would kind of like realize that we didn't like it. And like when we knew we didn't have to eat it, we wouldn't want to eat it. And then she said, but if, let's say like an example, if I didn't like green beans, I would still, like I would eat some green beans on my plate, but I wouldn't finish them. But if I ate like a bunch of food on my plate still, like I had corn and like I had 2 servings of mashed potatoes and I had steak, she said that was fine. Like they weren't really picky about that, just as long as we got enough food. They felt like we were eating enough food, that was good. She said when we went into school, my parents packed our lunch, and they did this because they wanted to make sure we had food that we were going to eat, because they wanted us to be full while we were at school, because they felt like if we weren't full, we wouldn't have good attention, because we would be focused on how hungry we were, and we, wouldn't be able to concentrate on our schoolwork. So they felt like if we went to school to buy our lunch, maybe that day they wouldn't have food that we would like, so then we wouldn't eat that much, and then, it would set us up poorly for the day, because we wouldn't want to concentrate. But they would like pack us food that they knew we'd like, so we'd get like juice pouches and Goldfish and Oreos, but they would also give us like good things, so like PB&J's, like ham and cheese sandwiches, stuff like that. But it's just different, because at school, we didn't have the pantry at home accessible to us, so if we were hungry, we couldn't just go to the pantry and get a snack and like be full, so they wanted to make sure that we were full throughout the day at school. She said that they were never really sticklers about what time we ate throughout the day. I know for a fact, because she said breakfast was just when we got up, but I know for a fact, like, that's how it was throughout my whole life with my whole family. Like, when everybody just got up, that's when we would eat, unless we, like, said we were going to have breakfast and we had to wait, as a family. But basically, we were kind of we would eat cereal whenever we got up, at the kitchen table. And lunch and dinner was just in a time frame depending on, like, what we had plans for that day. It was just never like, oh yeah, 7 o'clock, we have to be sitting down eating. It was never like that. And she just said, I know to hear, she said, as your kids are growing up, you can see habits of what your children like and dislike. And so one example she said was that her and my dad noticed that my twin sister Lindsay, like when we were kids, she would never eat all of her meat on her plate. Like this would happen like every day. She would only eat some of it, like some bites, because they would like cut our steak or like hamburger into little bites. She would eat some of it, but she would never eat all of the meat ever on her plate. And so they were like worried about that, because they felt like maybe she wasn't getting enough protein, or maybe she wasn't, as full as she could be. And, it's just different for me, because I know like that I used to eat meat, like I would finish it. I was always like finishing my plate, I felt like, usually anyway. So, but it's kind of like interesting because she is actually vegan now. And it's not because she like doesn't like the taste of meat. She got into that because she learned more about the meat industry and just the mass slaughter of animals, and so she just, if you watch the stuff and learn more about it, it is kind of unethical. And I'm a vegetarian too, so I do understand where that comes from. But yeah, so that's all the notes that I had from my mom for Activity 4. So bye.